Hello to all of you. Thank you for joining us. This is our new live series of talks with Dr. Lav Michael Leitman. Hello to you. Leitman. Hello, everyone. Oren, this is show number 1235, and we're talking about innovation in the age post the coronavirus. Look, innovation is something people always enjoyed, innovating, advancing, inventing, but there's a feeling that this is a very special time now. Technologically, we've developed many things, we've advanced, but comes coronavirus, immediately showing us that we're behind. Why? Because all of our systems, none of them, rather, are organized for virtual service, right? Security systems, the education system, the health system. No system prepared itself to function well through online services, right? Virtual services. And there's this feeling that the coronavirus came to show us that we need to advance very quickly, that we need to develop new things very quickly, which will enable organizations, institutions, even small businesses, the grocery store next door, anyone who wants to function, build himself up, he needs to be able to give virtual services to the public. So, my question is, how do you see innovation as a whole? How do you see humanity needing to be innovative in the time post the coronavirus? Leitman, I don't think there needs to be some technological post-digital age or something like that. I never thought of that. The coronavirus showed us how interconnected we are, how interdependent we are, how small we are, and how we're completely in the mercy of nature. And we don't know how to deal with that. And we will learn, perhaps through many blows, many expenses, somehow, something we can do with nature, perhaps, but that won't help us. Nothing will help us. We need to look for a way to avoid, let's say, if all of us together, all of humanity, all 8 billion people, we need to learn how to avoid such blows. Leitman. So if I understand what you say, you're saying that the innovation we will require isn't digital and scientific, but more ecologic, is, Leitman, social. In terms of society, our problem is that nature wants of us not for us to be more ecological, to stop destroying the ecology of it. Of course, that needs to also happen, but all of it ultimately stems from human society. Nature wants us to make a correction to the human species, for humanity to feel that they all belong to, for everyone to feel that they all belong to one system. Whites, black, yellow, red, all of us, all 8 billion people, belong to one race called humanity, the human species. And that species requires a correction, unlike the rest of the inanimate, vegetative and animate degrees. Each of us has an exaggerated ego wanting to build himself atop others, to sit on top of others, to make a profit off of everyone. The integral nature becoming more and more apparent with that kind of system doesn't tolerate that. Oh, and so what kind of innovation do we need in light of that? Leitman. Innovation, well, that's simple. We need to feel that we depend on each other, and this dependency needs to be a positive one. like in a good family. If we don't do that, it will be very bad for us. That's all. Oren, what expressions do you see in terms of this innovation? For example, technologically, I can show you progress and innovation. For example, before the coronavirus, if you wanted to have something at home, you went to the supermarket. You knew this shop is cheaper, that shop is more expensive. Here there's greater selection, here it's more fresh, and so on. Everything was known to you. Suddenly the coronavirus comes, you're afraid to leave your house, now you get deliveries. If you hear the talks happening, the discussions between my wife and her friends, it's only about what delivery comes when, if it comes on time or late, do they compensate you for their mistakes somehow, and what way, good products, and so on. Because all of these shops, all these places were not prepared for you to make an order and get it delivered quickly, properly, well packaged and everything, because they had ancient infrastructure. But throughout this period, they improved. But this happened overnight, right? When you say innovation in social terms, I want you to specify in what are we truly advanced, in what are we like the ancients, in what exactly regarding society are we innovative. Give me some elements we can examine. Leitman, in terms of society, there is no good innovation. The only good innovation is such that we can now discover how really bad we are in terms of how we relate to each other. We're truly bad to each other, like criminals. Nobody wants to take others into account. Each one cares only for himself. We see that we are in one integral system. Owen, and what needs to be renewed? Leitman, what needs to be renewed is, well, we need to receive such blows from nature which will show us how interdependent we are. Owen, and what will we as human beings need to innovate? We'll need to see that we truly belong to one system as cells in one body. Owen, and how will this innovation manifest? Leitman, we'll see each other as interdependent because, in truth, my life depends on every other person. Oren, okay, so once you used to get a doctor appointment, go to the place where you get treated. Now I tell my doctor with the coronavirus, look, I cannot go anywhere now. Give me some virtual assistance. The doctor is old. He doesn't know virtual, not virtual. He doesn't understand. This is an example of something which isn't innovative, which is old. Now, the social innovation, will it promote us, advance us towards a new place? What will it give me in life? Leitman, it will give you the ability to survive, because without it you won't be able to continue on existing. Our world is becoming more interconnected, more integral, more so in terms of mutual dependency, mutual participation. We are discovering more and more that we are interdependent. Such forces of nature awaken which tie us together. Previously, we were also tied together, but we weren't aware of the fact. Now, the web of forces just emerges from below, and it begins to come close to us, and we are in this web of forces, and we become more and more interconnected, more closely bound together. You see, now with the coronavirus, I can catch it from anyone. Suddenly now we have to have 2 meters distance between us at least. Suddenly some other thing. Now, don't take the virus necessarily. Look at it in a different way. We have the ability to affect each other negatively, right? A virus is negative, bad, if we come close to each other. So now we cannot work, we cannot come close to each other, we cannot continue as a human society as it was. This is how nature teaches us, and this is just the first exercise, the easiest of the exercises, to show us how interdependent we are and how the connection between us is bad. Oh, and if I look to the time of the coronavirus, here in Israel at least, I don't know what happened in other countries, here we saw a lot of assistance given from especially the young to the old, because the old had to remain closed at home, a high-risk group, and the younger generation were really enthused about assisting, helping. So is this a harbinger of new connections between people? Lightman, and we will see. It's not exactly in the direction it's not exactly as you say, not in that direction, but first of all we have to feel that we are interdependent. The young and the old, and those who are close families or distant families and so on, we have to come to discover that we all belong to one family all around the globe. This is very unpleasant. This complicates things for us. It really stops us, it blocks us. But that's what we have. Oh, and if I asked you, please give me 3 innovative changes you would like to see developing in the world, what would you say? 3 things that truly indicate that we're advancing towards innovation in terms of society. 3. Lightman, okay, I said the first, that we all begin to attain the fact that we're of one system, of one family. Oh, and the second, Lightman, the second is that our good future depends on good relationships. Without making differences in terms of who or what is next to me. I don't look at a person in terms of color or nationality or anything of the sort. I look at the person only as a family member. And I need to be with all of them, with everyone, as much as possible in a good relationship. Oh, and the third innovation? Lightman, the third innovation is, well, we need to learn. We don't know these rules, these laws, and how to observe them in the connection between us. As an outcome of that, of course, we will have some changes in the way we work, in the way we educate, in every endeavor. We will need to transform all of human society, but it will be as a result of that. Oh, and so in terms of technology, let's say, what changes will come in order to support these social processes you're describing? What does technology need to provide us with? New means, perhaps, which don't exist today, in order to support this new innovative process you've explained. What can technology do? Lightman, I think technology should reach such a state where each and every one of us can learn and study at home or wherever he is how to behave correctly according to the conditions of the integral humanity. Oh, and so online studies, yes? Lightman, okay. Yes. Oh, and okay, I understand. That's in terms of technology. Now, in terms of the health services, what innovations would you like to see there for them to support the social process you've described earlier? Lightman, I don't think we need those health services if we relate to ourselves and the nature that envelops us in the correct way. Oh, and please explain yourself. Lightman, because everything we have, all the plagues, the diseases, everything that comes to harm a person, it's all a result of us having negative relationships. And so, from all degrees, inanimate, vegetative, animate, and speaking, we get viruses. All those viruses indicate transgression, virus from the word avera, transgressions we commit in our relationships. Oh, and so this is with respect to health. Now, if I'd ask you, tell me, in terms of closeness between people, what kind of innovation would you like to see in the area of closeness between people in a time where we're being educated to keep our distance? What did the coronavirus do? It put some distance between us. Now you walk around, you have this inner measuring tape. So what innovation in terms of closeness between people would you like to see? Leichman, I'd like us to have this inner feeling that will guide us to keep our distance or close the distance between us with respect to or according to our inner closeness. And then we won't need any instructions from the Ministry of Health. Oh, and this sounds very nice. We will feel closeness or separation, and accordingly we will also move physically. Lightman, yes. Oh, and it sounds so innovative I can't even grasp it. Can you explain? Lightman, the physical world and the spiritual world will be as one. Oh, and the spiritual world, you mean the relationships between people? Lightman, yes. Oh, and so innovation, if I understood that last example regarding the closeness between people, the relationships, if I understand correctly, our physical behavior will be in accord with our inner relation to a person. When we're close in our hearts, we will come closer. When we feel hostility, we will put some distance between us. Or Lightman, yes, and we will know how to come close together such that there is no distance between us, so that everyone have one heart they share. Oh, and so I want to return to the subject of health. I asked you what innovation you'd like to see in terms of health, and you said, I don't need any innovation in terms of health because I believe that if the relationships between people improve, diseases and problems we suffer from now, devoting immense budgets to try to cure and get rid of, all these things will disappear from the world. Lightman, yes. Oh, and so what's the connection between the social closeness between us and us sparing ourselves disease and so on? Lightman, that depends on, they depend on one another. Oh, and how? There's no connection. Lightman, give me a moment. We are in a system of laws. There are forces governing the relationships between us, forces of closeness, separation, on the physical level, biological level, on all levels. We exist within such systems. And everything depends on the will of the person. Human will is the strongest force. And through coming closer in our wills, in our desires, in our intentions, we can alter laws of nature. Owen, give me one example of how we can change the laws of nature if we feel closer to each other. Lightman, we don't have such examples that I can give you. Sadly, unfortunately, we haven't accomplished that yet. But it's for certain that if we change our relationships from bad to good, our attitudes to positive towards each other, we will never be damaged by any virus. Owen, is that the essence of the innovation that you expect? That through the change of relationships between people, making them better, we can protect ourselves in terms of health and from other natural disasters? Lightman, that's the smallest thing. Oh, and is there anything bigger? Lightman, well, it's necessary, of course, but this is the smallest level. Oh, and is there a greater innovation than that? Lightman, of course, we will continue on to much higher innovation. Oh, and what? What are you talking about? What innovation? Lightman, of course, health on the human on the animal level, let's call it, that's of utmost importance. But above that, we have the attainment of the purpose of life, rising above this life, feeling why we live, why we were born, why we live, why we die. Perhaps we can even rise above this entire process that we're a part of. Everything. It's all possible. It's all possible if we truly make sure to create good relationships between us. Owen, so if I asked you about joy, happiness, well-being, what kind of innovation would you like to see in those terms? Lightman, where one feels happy because he feels that everyone around him is happy. Oh, and that's very innovative. Lightman, why? It's like in the family. Ask your wife what she wants. She wants her children to be close to her and for everyone to be healthy and well and happy. Oh, and yeah, that's in the family. Lightman, yes, that's what I'm talking about. It's one great family where 8 billion people feel together as one family. Oh, and what innovation will this cause in terms of happiness, well-being? Lightman, health, security, confidence, a complete calming down of human society, a calm in terms of nature and development. It's kind of something opening. You don't know what it is. It's like a baby in his mother's arms. What could be better for him? He's confident, he's secure, he smells her, he feels her. It's the safest place for him. And that is how you will feel. Oh, and what can be renewed or what should be renewed in terms of a person's self-fulfillment? What kind of innovation would you like to see there? Lightman, a person's self-fulfillment will be in that each one will feel responsible over the whole world. Because in each one of us, in this integral system, each one has a special place, a special point from which he is responsible over the whole of reality, the whole 8 billion souls, and he will feel responsibility and he will act upon it. Oh, and this seems to conflict with happiness, where you said that a person should open new levels of happiness for himself, but now you brought upon me responsibility for the whole world. As soon as you began talking about it, I felt the weight of the world fall upon me. It's Lightman. Well, you're responsible for your family. Is this a concern for you, a serious concern? Oh, and of course it is. Lightman. Well, now you come to a state where in terms of health, security, everything, you have the ability to put everything in order, to make everything good. Look at your face then. Oh, and I wish. Lightman, yes, see how you're smiling now. So this is how it will be, not only with respect to your 5 children, but for the whole 8 billion. Oh, and but from where will I get the power, the resources? Lightman, don't worry. Those 8 billion will give you the resources, the powers. That is called mutual guarantee, mutual responsibility. Everyone will have everything. If we want it, everyone will have everything. We need nothing but for a good connection between us. Then we can truly discover the good forces in nature, and they will provide for us everything we require. An abundance, a great abundance. Oh, and it sounds very innovative to me. Mutual responsibility. Well, in the army, you're told if you don't take care of each other, you'll suffer. You depend on each other. On the most practical level, you're in a dangerous place. If your friend isn't watching your back, you're not watching another friend's back, you're both gone. So, Lightman, exactly. Oh, and so what innovation would you expect the world to advance towards in terms of mutual responsibility? Lightman, where I feel responsible for each person in reality, in existence. And all of us feel the same, because each one of us is just one point, one dot in the whole general system, and it's a closed system. And therefore, if each one from his point, his place takes care of the whole system, then it follows that all these systems, all these subsystems, all these points, care for the general system, and then we are all in an integral system, interconnected, and having nothing to fear. We have nothing to fear. Oh, and each time you describe the innovation you see, I can see that there is a gap in perception. Your basic assumption is that a person is like part of a great family, but emotionally one doesn't feel that he's part of a human family. Inside his home, he sometimes doesn't feel he's part of the family. So how do we advance? It seems like an evolutionary process where, Lightman, we truly need to advance, to come closer to each other, to feel how we're interdependent. It's true. We have a lot to study here. We have proof to provide. Perhaps there's a lot to it. Did you ever sit in a tank? Oh, and yeah, I was a tank commander. It's like, did you ask? No, I was in charge of the cannon. I was deepest down in response. I was dependent on everyone. Lightman. So here's the same, but it's not 3 people next to you, but 8 billion. What's the problem? What's the problem? It's the same feeling. It's even much more powerful. Because everyone is thinking of how to make you healthy. Do you have anything to even think about? Nothing. Mutual responsibility brings us to the degree of godhood, the general force of nature, whereupon you aren't worried about anything. They simply take all your worries from you. Each one of them says, Oren, I'll cover it. Don't worry, this is on me. Well, Owen, well, I'll sign, but where will we get? Lightman, this is called mutual guarantee. People will want it because they'll have no choice. Owen, our time is up. Innovation, what innovation would you like to see in the time post the coronavirus? Lightman, only that. For people to feel that they are interdependent in one united, integral society around the globe. Oren, let's hope for that. And thank you very much, Lightman. Thank you very much for you, all of you, for being with us. New life, learning to live well.